What is up, guys? It's Dustin. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm finally going to be doing the video that I've been talking about on social media. I'm going to be ranking the A24 films that I physically have in my collection. Just a couple things I want to state before we get into actually ranking them. I only own 4 films, like physically in my collection as of right now. I do plan on picking up more A24 films in the future, and I know it's kind of weird ranking only 4 films, but they're honestly the 4 films that are super fresh in my mind, and I just want to get this video out ranking them. And just one thing to keep in mind, guys, do remember that everything I'm going to say is my opinion, and just because I put a movie lower than another one doesn't mean that I find any of these movies bad, because I really don't. I'm just going to give you my ranking based off my viewing experience and, you know, determining off what I like in film and what I like to see in movies. So keep that in mind. I'm not trashing these movies in any way. They are all enjoyable in their own right. And yeah, I just want to get that out of the way. Also, in the comment section, let me know how you would rank these 4 films if you have seen them, or give me your top 5 A24 films that I can potentially pick up in the future and watch and do a re-ranking of. So without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 4, and this is probably going to make a lot of people mad, we have Hereditary. Now, I just want to state this film is not a bad film. I believed the hype that was generated around this film on the internet, and to me personally, this movie did not live up to it. The internet made this movie seem like it is the most terrifying film you will ever watch in a lifetime, and for me, it just wasn't. And I can see how some people could see it is, because it is very disturbing in some senses. If you watch the movie and you know about the little girl in the telephone pole, I don't need to go into detail. I'm not going to go into detail too much about what the film is about, but this is a horror film. It is directed by Ari Aster, and again, good movie. I found it enjoyable, but the reason I'm ranking it at number 4 personally is because I just found that parts of this movie were just too drawn out. Like, there was too much fluff, if you want to call it. I don't know. But when the movie was good, it was super good. It was super intense. Definitely had me on the edge of my seat. And there was definitely some pretty scary moments. But I feel like some of the scenes were just played out way too long, and things could have just been cut out. That's just my opinion. I just found myself getting bored and losing interest in certain parts of the movies, but it would quickly grab my attention again. But yeah, some parts of the movies I feel like were just not necessary, but at the same time I understand, you know, it really had to drive the story home, so I get it. But yeah, Hereditary, good film. I just don't think it lived up to the hype that the internet generated around it, personally. If you really like this film, that's awesome. Again, I don't find it terrible. I just don't think it's as scary as people made it out to be. And again, I just found myself kind of losing interest in some parts. But I do want to rewatch it because I do enjoy the movie in some way. It's just not my favorite A24 film, but again, still an overall enjoyable film. Coming in at number 3, and again, this, I'm going to keep saying it, this might surprise people, we have the new release, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, this isn't obviously the new release, but it is from this year. This film, I don't even know what to say. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. There's a lot of great talent in it. And it's just off the wall, fun film that kind of plays on the whole multiverse aspect. And I enjoyed this movie very, very much. And there's a reason why I have it at number 3 as opposed to somewhere else. It's just because the other 2 movies I'm going to show, I just, like, I guess, liked a little bit more. But I did love this film. It is super fun. It's comedic. And it's just crazy. It literally says a metaphysical multiverse galaxy brain head trip. And that's exactly what it is. This movie is all over the place. But it also does so well at just holding your attention. And again, it has the right balance of just pure ass-kickingness and just comedy. And it's just super weird. I feel like that's a trend with A24 films. They tend to be a little on the weirder side. Super fun film. Highly recommend it. If you are somebody that gets confused during movies easily, you may have a hard time following. But either way, I feel like depending on how you feel about these types of films, there's something enjoyable for everybody in this movie. It is super well done. It is a beautiful film to watch. I had fun with it, and it's awesome. It's really cool. But again, it's sitting at number 3 for me right now. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into number 2. Now, this one surprised me personally, and that is Midsummer. Now, I have heard about this film. Again, this is a movie that the internet generated a lot of hype around, and it's by Ari Aster, again, the same person who directed Hereditary. And because Hereditary I found to be very bland in a lot of areas, I figured this movie was going to be the same. So I went into Midsummer with super low expectations, expecting to not really care much for the film, because just reading the synopsis and from what I've gathered on the internet, a lot of people are split down the middle on this movie. A lot of people either really love it or a lot of people just really hate it. And personally, I just really enjoyed this movie, and that surprised me because I expected it to be kind of like Hereditary in some parts, just be super long and drawn out and just boring and not hold my attention. For some reason, this movie held my attention from start to finish. And I know a lot of people label this movie as disturbing, and I can definitely see it. Some parts will definitely make you kind of cringe and like feel uneasy. But honestly, I just thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was beautifully shot. It is beautifully written. Not gonna lie, in the beginning I was kind of like, hey, like, I don't know how I feel about it. But when they actually got to like the main filming location for this movie and the story picked up a little bit, I was hooked. I really, really enjoy this movie, and I recommend if you haven't watched it, give it a shot. Again, there's some imagery in here that a lot of people find disturbing, from, just a trigger warning here to unaliving oneself, and some sexual themes kind of reoccur throughout. But honestly, it's a great movie. The only thing that really bothered me is Florence Pugh, the main character. She cries a lot, and like her cry is just super annoying. But other than that, if you can handle an annoying cry, it's a good film, and I honestly really enjoyed it, and it surprised me. I really thought that this would rank lower, if not below Hereditary, or just above, so I'm actually surprised that after I finished this film, that it made it into my number 2 spot. And coming in at the number 1 spot, a film that was a complete blind buy for me, a film I knew absolutely nothing about at all other than it starred Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and Trav told me to watch it, The Lighthouse. This movie is insane from start to finish. It is shot on film, and when you watch it, it's meant to look like, like old school, like you're supposed to watch on like an old box TV almost. And even though the film is in black and white, it still felt very refreshing. Like there was still something kind of like modern about it in a way, because visually this film is stunning. And I'm surprised it didn't get a 4K release, at least not to my knowledge. I own a 4K TV, and what I use to play the Blu-ray discs on, upscale. So, I'm sure that depending on what you have and what your player is, it's going to, look a little different. But regardless, this movie is absolutely gorgeous. And I really thought that it being in black and white and kind of, it takes place on one location. It's at this lighthouse on just a very small island, essentially, just a big rock with a lighthouse on it. And it's just these two people the entire film. And I wasn't sure how it was going to play out, but I was pleasantly surprised. This movie is very serious, but also there are some fart jokes in it. And you slowly watch Robert Pattinson's character just descend into just madness. And you see these two, like, one minute they're getting along, the next minute they're clashing together and not getting along and hating each other. And it's crazy. I can't really tell you too much because it can kind of give away some things, but I firmly believe that the performance that these two actors put out were some of the best performances they have ever done. I mean, this movie is labeled as like a horror thriller. Again, some very disturbing imagery, some very sexual themes again. I mean, obviously, like, it's two dudes stranded on a rock with nobody else. Things get weird. And it's just, this film is phenomenal, and it exceeded all expectations for me, and I love it. This is from Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch. The Witch is a film I've watched a long time ago, like when it first came out in theaters. I do want to pick it up and revisit it, but I just haven't. I personally believe this is Robert Eggers' best work. I like this so much more than The Witch, and from what I remember about it anyways. But this film, highly recommend. It is one of those films, again, like I said, it's labeled as a horror thriller, but something about it, because you just don't know what's going to happen next. Like, this film keeps you on the edge of your seat, and you really can't blink or get up or pause, because you can miss something crazy. Like, you literally have to be all in it for this movie. This is not a shut your brain off and watch film, like maybe Everything Everywhere, if you want to call it that. But this movie, I believe, is an absolute masterpiece. Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe, two of my favorite actors, and to see them work together and just their dynamic, you know, and really, I believe this shows, like, Willem Dafoe, we all know he has range. Robert Pattinson, I feel like people tend to put him in a box a little bit and clown on him for, you know, people always bring up the Twilight Saga. This man is one of the most versatile actors in the game. I'm willing to put money on it. Incredible, just overall performance from him and Willem Dafoe. And guys, that is it. So to recap, coming in at number 1, we got The Lighthouse. Number 2, we got Midsummer. Number 3, we got Everything Everywhere. And number 4 for me is Hereditary, guys. Let me know what you would rank these 4 films if you have seen them. And then if you haven't, give me your top 5 A24 films. What's your top 5? It doesn't have to be like labeled like number 5 being your least favorite out of them. I just want to know your top 5 favorite A24 films. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get off here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you guys are brand new to the channel. As always, I'll see you later in another video. Bye-bye.